Well, how'd you all like that set? I think it's the only time in history, I'm pretty sure, Luke has ever sang that sequence of songs in one room.
True.
That covered a gamut of decades of a great, great career.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
So, good afternoon. Malcolm, thanks to Malcolm and Vazy for putting this on. Malcolm wants to keep the, yes. I've been asked to keep the interview to 30 minutes. I think we could talk to Luke for about 2.5 hours and still be getting interesting things, but 30 minutes it is, and we'll do a Q&A. So if you see me occasionally doing this, that's just to check that we're not getting too offside. And since the show today was really, an overview of the whole career, beginning to the present,
Yes.
pretty close to the present.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to start by asking you, what first gave you the music bug? What was the first thing you heard that made you think, yeah, this is what I want to do? Sorry?
The radio.
Yeah, what on the
What on the radio? I'm going to say Johnny Cash, Everly Brothers, Buddy Holly, Ray Charles, John Lee Hooker, Jimmy Reed, and many more.
So you're in Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto's a pretty lily-white city at that time. It was long before we had a massive immigration. What radio station are you hearing this stuff on? Because we didn't have a black radio station.
No, I guess as far as John Lee Hooker and all them, I didn't really hear him on the radio, but you know who was a Toronto performer? Jackie Shane.
Ah, yes.
Any Other Way. I think that's still one of the best things I've ever heard. Was that you did hear that on Chum KEY. Now and again, I think it was Duff Roman had a show and a couple of them, and they played.
Right.
They would play some black stuff, and some.
Well, Jackie was
bluesy
magical.
stuff. Yeah.
But it's as good as Jackie is, and of course covering the great Stax song Any Other Way.
Yeah.
That's a whole different world than the Jimmy Reed, the John Lee Hooker.
True.
The post-war repertoire that became so much of Luke and the Apostles' repertoire.
It did, yeah, and it was mainly people getting records for me and stuff like that. You could get a lot of great records in Buffalo.
Right.
Our bass player Jonesy would make regular trips down there and come back with amazing stuff like with Fontella Bass and Bobby McClure and on stuff. And we try to learn these songs on a radio, on a little record player at rehearsals, and slow the speed down so we could tell what they were saying, and learn those songs that way. It was all via records, and friends going, "Hey, I had this Jimmy Reed record. You got to hear it," So
Magical stuff. I love Jimmy Reed.
Yeah.
Were the Apostles your first band?
Yes.
Well, so you started from ground zero and jumped into a band that became legendary.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. A friend of mine was playing drums with them. Mm-hmm. And I had been messing around. We had a couple of garage bands with some buddies of mine that we never played anywhere. At any rate, we went down to Yorkville to see Yorkville one night, and I heard, across the road, I heard Night Train as an instrumental player.
Right.
Thought, we got to go see this. What is it? And we went in, and it was Mike's Trio. So it was Mike McKenna and Graham Dunsmore and my buddy Rick McMurray.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I know you were playing. Oh, this is what you do. And I said, well, I sing, And he said, oh, well, we need a singer, so why don't you get up and do a couple of songs, which I did. And they went, oh, great, come to a rehearsal, and I joined the band. So then we were playing the Cafe El Patio.
Right.
And they were making $3 each a night.
So getting rich quickly.
Yes. And the owner hated that they got another member. He said, I'm not paying any more money. No, this is for it. I'm not paying that much dough.
Right.
And so the guys in the band were good enough to give me $1 each out of their $3 each. And so that's how it kind of started. And Luke and the Apostles, what are you going to call the band? In those days, the bands were called Bobby, Chris, and the Imperials.
Sure.
So and such, somebody in the John and Lee and the Checkmates, little somebody else's. So my name being Luke, Peter, the organ player, said, "Oh, what about Luke and the Apostles? That's just like Robbie Lane and the Disciples." So we kind of did it as a joke. I'm still stuck with it, and that's how that happened.
And here we are 60 years later, definitely still stuck with it, and thank goodness.
Yeah, it's too late to quit now.
So I'm curious, this is 64.
Yes.
And you've already talking about, you got some hip friends,
Yeah.
driving to Buffalo, picking up records. You're hearing things in bits and pieces. Even Good Morning Little Schoolgirl, which you played today, Hoodoo Man Blues had just come out at 65 when you guys first
right.
cut it.
That's right.
So you're getting a lot of stuff from the original source.
Yes.
But I'm curious, because when I see the Apostles do their various reunions, and I was too young to see you in 64, I was like 7, so I apologize, I did not see those early sets. But when I see the Apostles do the reunions, I feel like I'm seeing the Yardbirds or the early Stones. It's that same post-war repertoire. So were some of the material, were you getting it from those bands?
Some of it, yeah, like from Yardbirds, yes, and some early Stones, definitely. And the similarity is we got our inspirations and tunes from the same place that they did. Like we all worshipped at the same music.
The same altar of great
of
sounds.
blues.
Yeah. Now, I mentioned earlier Toronto was pretty lily white then, and yet there were several R&B bands. Luke and the Apostles weren't the only ones.
Oh,
one
no.
of the best.
It was.
But why do you think this city, no black radio station, there's BLK in Buffalo,
Yeah.
and no real great record store was Black Records here. There's a guy in Avenue Road who dabbled in it.
Yeah.
Why do you think the city became such an R&B town then?
That's hard to say. I don't know. I guess it came out of Yonge Street, and the bands the blues guys used to come up here and play. Lonnie Johnson was playing up here. They all came up and played. Buddy Guy, John Lee Hooker. I think I saw John Lee Hooker at the Bohemian Embassy.
Right.
Up in this little, it was about this big, and it was never the same after. It was incredible, just sitting there with a guitar and a bottle of whiskey and doing John Lee Hooker. It was stunning. But I think, all the bands, the guys that ended up being in bands like Richie Knight and the Midnights and the Five Rogues.
Right.
See, they used to play at the Blue Note on Yonge Street, and all black musicians would come up there. They'd back them up. And it became, I guess, a kind of a tradition of Toronto bands. The bands would go see other bands. There was a lot of that going on. And I guess everybody was just drawn to that sound,
It seems like it was an incredibly rich scene.
Yeah, it really was, incredibly.
You told a great story about Paul Rothchild finding you at the Purple Onion.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, the Purple Onion was one of your stomping grounds for...
We were there for a year and... held over for a year and a half.
And it's interesting. That's a long run. And it's people think of Yorkville and they think it's a folk world, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's playing acoustic guitars and singing,
Well, they were, yeah.
But you guys were not doing anything like that.
Not at all, no.
And so were the same crowds going to the folk clubs and coming to see you, or is it different worlds?
No, I think it was different, We were the first band at the Purple Onion. They changed over, and I don't know, I guess it's all word of mouth, with people, and because there was lineups every night. We played 6 nights a week till 2 in the morning, and on the weekend till 3 in the morning, like 7, 8 sets a night, and just on and on, 6 nights a week. I forgot what I was saying.
Oh, we were just talking about the Purple Onion and lineups out the door and, working 7, 8 sets a night for all the richness you were making.
Yeah.
That's a tough gig.
Yeah, well, the Onion paid us more than $3.
I hope.
Yeah.
Now, the Rothschild story is a great story. I've heard it before and singing into the phone.
Sure you have, yeah.
But I'm very curious. There's a lot of stories around being burnt.
Right.
It's great to hear it today, of course. But that record was produced by Rothschild in New York City, I believe.
Yep.
And it was going to be part of a full album, was it not?
It was supposed to be. We signed for an album.
So what happened?
Well, what happened is Paul Rothschild got busted with a joint. And in those days, you went to jail if you had one joint. he went to jail, and it was his project. So all the air went out of those tires. He was away. He wasn't, our project just got dumped until he got out. He got out and produced the Doors. So it was,
Did okay
it
with
was
the
like,
Doors, but
okay. We're not doing these guys anymore. We're doing the Doors.
well, I'm kind of curious, and this might be a little too much minutiae, but I'm really curious and always has been.
Yeah.
If you look at discographies online, came out in the States in '66.
Yeah,
And it doesn't come out to Canada, according to discographies, to '67.
right.
What is that about? And I'm also at the same time curious. So if Rothschild goes to jail, it's 8 months for possession.
Yeah.
Why did Elektra just not shift you to another producer? This is a band that Rothschild thought was one of the greatest in the world at that time.
He did, yeah. I don't know. Maybe they just weren't big enough. They didn't have enough staff. They lost interest because it was purely Paul's project, I guess. And they kind of put it out half-heartedly, and they did some test stuff, and then maybe they didn't get the reaction they wanted by the time they put it out, because it should have come out in '65.
Right.
Right. And so, I don't know, and then Canada just held on to it and put it out later on the Bounty label. So
Yeah,
it
Bounty's
was,
weird 7 singles on that label. You're number 6.
Yeah.
So were there several other tunes recorded for the album before Paul got busted, or is that it?
No, that was it.
Just a single?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Yeah, and then later, we were down in New York playing with the Grateful Dead.
Right.
First time they ever went to New York. Played with them for a couple of weeks. And our manager hooked us up with Rick Shorter as a producer. And he took us in, we did a couple of demos for him. We didn't like him. It was, well, mainly, I think it was the first thing he did was try to get us to do one of his songs.
Oh, of course.
To get the dough.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that was a bad start to a
Non-starter.
relationship. Yeah, not good. And I guess the band was getting fed up with things at that point. We were to sign with MGM, and they were all excited about it. And we were 19 years old and thought we knew everything. And we went, no, we don't want to do that. We're going to break up. So we were playing at the O'Keefe Center in Toronto with the Dead and the Airplane. Rick Shorter even came up to Toronto and said, "What are you doing? Don't break off. We're going to do this." We're going, "Oh, no." And I'd already decided to join the Kensington market, so, there was no stopping us then. So that was sort of mistake number 2.
Well, that's a shame. I would die to hear the Apostles in the studio at their prime, but
Yeah, never happened.
you did play, you just mentioned one of them, 2 of the most famous gigs in Toronto in that period. In July, you were at City Hall
Yeah.
with the Airplane, right? Mm-hmm. Were the Dead on that bill too, or
No.
just the Airplane, which Bill Graham put that together?
That's right, yeah.
And 50,000 people, something like that?
Around that, yeah.
Came out to it?
Yeah.
What was that day like? It must have been
was
magic.
Beautiful. It was sunny, hot. We were playing. It was kind of the first thing like that we'd ever done, or had been in Toronto, I believe.
It was.
Yeah, and people were jumping in the fountains, and the police were dragging them out. You know what I mean? And Bill Graham loved the band, so that's how we got on the O'Keefe Center shows. When with the Dead, like we already knew the Grateful Dead at that point, so like we had a pretty fun week with those guys. What else happened? Lots.
Well, that was a week. Eight,
was a week.
8 shows in 1 week.
Yeah,
Luke and the
no,
Apostles, Grateful Dead, Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah.
If I had a time machine,
Yeah.
I'm flying back for that
Yeah.
full week.
That was
all 8
incredible.
shows.
Oh yeah, and I think it was the Globe and Mail sent their classical reviewer.
Of course. Back
It was
then.
the O'Keefe Center, right? And it was all this outrage that these long-haired wing-dongs were
making all this noise.
all this racket in the O'Keefe Center, and this guy hated us. It was terrible. The Dead and us both did Good Morning Little Schoolgirl.
On the same show.
That put him over the edge. If I have to listen to it once, then I had to listen to it again, with even worse, with the Grateful Dead. This was terrible. Yeah.
He didn't know how lucky he was to have heard it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, of course, you went to the Kensington Market.
Yeah.
And, just looking at the history, it's like the next week you're in Kensington Market.
Correct, yeah.
So you said you already knew you were going there.
Yeah.
How early had that developed? And you're playing in July, City Hall with 50,000 people.
Yeah.
Peak of the band.
I know.
Then you got this great 8-week run, but you already know you're leaving.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Must have been a little bizarre.
Yeah, it was strange, yeah. Well, I know, because I came back, I guess one night I came back in a cab to Yorkville, got out of a cab. Bernie and Keith were sitting on the steps of Boris's, and then they came over and asked me if I wanted to join the band in Lisbon. Oh, yeah, okay. So I said, well, I'll need a guitar.
Kensington Market must have been a bit of a culture shock.
It was.
Yeah, here you are, a post-war blues guy.
Yeah.
Deep into it.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're playing in this band that's
Yeah.
folk and jazz based, but it's gone Baroque psychedelic.
Yes. Yeah, it was interesting.
What made you just say, oh yeah, this is like,
Well, I just thought this is going to be a nice change. Really, it's different from what I've been doing. I've been doing it for quite a while,
Right.
And it just appealed to me. I liked the songs. Keith was writing some great songs, and it just really musically appealed to me. And it was fun to play the guitar and kind of step back and just do harmonies and stuff in some way. So it was just a departure from what I had been doing. So that's why I did it.
well, you joined another foundational band. I mean,
Yeah.
think of that period. Luke and the Apostles and Kensington Market are two of the most important bands the city produced
Yeah, well,
in
that's
that
nice.
period. And by the way, Keith Mackay's here
Yeah,
today.
he is. So is Jane.
Yeah, Gene Martynec was called out earlier. So we have in one room 3 of the original Kensington Market members,
Yeah.
which is pretty darn hip.
Yeah.
Now you
He
recorded.
made me sing Boris's.
Sorry?
He made me sing Beatrice.
Yeah, you sort of commented he was trying to mess with you. I thought it was interesting that you picked that.
Yeah.
And somebody helped me because you wrote 4 songs on those 2 albums.
Yeah. Help Me I co-wrote with
Right.
with Gene and Felix Pappalardi.
Tell
And
me-
that song was written in the studio. It was based on a Moog synthesizer groove
when John Mills was part of the group.
at that point, yeah.
Tell me about writing Speaking of Dreams. That's on Avenue Road. And that was the first song that I know of
Yes.
that you wrote that appeared on a record.
It was probably the first song I wrote.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And were you writing because you were joining a band with a writer like
No,
Keith
I
and
just wrote
Gene?
that song.
Okay.
Yeah. I had that song when I joined the band, and it's basically about an acid trip.
That's what I would have guessed.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, it was. It was back when acid was in the sugar cubes. And that's kind of what it's about, yeah.
Well, if you've never heard the album Avenue Road, you should, first of all. And Speaking of Dreams may have arisen from an acid trip, but it's an amazingly adventurous, interesting song, and 3 very Baroque, very psychedelic at the same time.
Thank you, yeah.
What were the Kensington Market like live? I was too young, and I missed the band live. But Luke and the Apostles would have been a dance band.
Yeah.
People.
Oh, the people danced.
At the Onion would have been dancing all night and having a riot.
That's it.
I can't imagine how much dancing happened with Kensington Market, but I could be wrong.
Well, some did, because, the Market Live was better than the records, honestly, in my opinion. They were a lot more live, and we did some extended jam stuff that was wild, and it was just had a lot more edge than those records. Those records got a little homogenized and tamed down. I mean, as good as they are, I think they're good, but the Market Live was a lot more exciting, and people did dance.
I wish we had a live record.
Yeah, there never was, yeah.
Was that Felix Pappalardi sort of constraining you? You
Yeah,
guys
I
might
think
know
it was
bass
his
player Mountain.
own personal vision of what he wanted to do with what we did, right? So he took those songs and made them like that.
Now, you joined the Market, my memory's correct, August 67.
Yeah,
And by early 69, Bernie's left as a manager.
right.
Eugene leaves. Jimmy Watson leaves. John Mills Cockle's departing.
Yes.
What's happening then? You and Keith
I would call that a breakup of a band.
but you and Keith kept going through,
I kept going with Keith.
right,
Yes.
through at least June.
Acoustic.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But billed as Kensington Market, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, yeah. That was that.
And you played another one of the seminal gigs in Toronto history.
Oh, we did the Pop Fest.
Yeah, Toronto Pop Festival. June 21st.
Yeah, I know. And I guess that was probably a shock for our fans at the time, because it was Kensington Market. We had just broken up. And Keith and I show up with acoustic guitars and played some songs. So, I don't know, I guess it was good, but it was a bit of a shocker, I'd say.
Again, if I get my time machine, I'm going back to it.
Yeah.
So I could see and hear that shocker.
Yeah.
Not too long after that, as you talked today, suddenly we have a second incarnation of the Apostles.
Yes.
On True North this time.
Yeah.
Bernie signed you to his label.
Yeah.
And You Make Me High.
Yes.
One of the great, great, great Canadian singles, I want to say of all time, certainly of that period.
Wow, thank you.
Doesn't sound anything like post-war Chicago blues.
No.
This is
Yeah,
a new thing. I remember that's when I first saw you live singing out at the CNE, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, Bill with Dr. John, if I remember.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, Lighthouse. It was a great festival.
Yeah, that was a great band, actually. It only lasted a year, but Pat Little and I put it together.
And Mike was there, too.
Yeah, we got Mike to come along. Then we had Denny Gerard
Right.
from the Poppers. And we rehearsed for a few weeks, and Denny kind of went off the rails a little bit, had to leave. So he never even did a live thing with us. Then we got Bruce Palmer from Buffalo Springfield.
Yeah.
We did a few gigs with him. Then he left. And then we got Jack Geisinger from The Influence. And he's the one that plays on You Make Me High. And we wrote that at a rehearsal. Michael had the chord changes, the lyrics and stuff. We recorded that, and it came out, and that was kind of all we did with that band. It was, I don't know, we did a few gigs around. What else did we do? Played in Ottawa. I don't know, it was a funny one.
What a shame.
It was a power band. It was like really loud, and Danny McBride was playing guitar. We had two amazing guitar players.
Sure did.
In that band, yeah. Yeah. And the other side of it was not far off.
Right.
Yeah. So that's all we did with that band.
Well, You Make Me High is such a majestic anthem.
Yeah.
And that melody is so gorgeous.
Oh, nice.
And how the heck did that little 3/4 thing get in the middle?
Well, the song is essentially in 3/4.
Right, but it's a very different groove.
Yes, it is. And that was Pat's idea, actually.
Well,
Yeah.
hats off to Pat. It works well.
Yeah.
You got a lot of radio play with that.
We did.
RPM, I think it hit number 27, whereas Being Burnt didn't chart. So
It did.
you're having probably the most success of your career up to this point.
It did.
And
What may have happened was that we played at the band shell.
that was showing that.
CNE,
Yeah, yeah.
Well, before we went on, all kinds of people were coming up to me going, Luke, you got to do something here. The RCMP's out there and they're pretending they're photographers and they're zooming in on people and they got a radio and they find somebody with a joint and they're coming in and hauling people out of the audience. It was like, oh my God. Because at that time they couldn't get on pop festival grounds. Oh yeah, we did Strawberry Fields, speaking
Right,
of which.
yes.
So they couldn't go on those private things. But the CNE being public, there they were, hauling people out of the audience. And people were going on at us about, oh, guys, you got to do something about it. So we exposed them. But, that didn't go down too well. And also, Jungle J. Nelson was an MC.
The DJ, sure.
The DJ, right? No one told us about this. He came wandering out. We were tuning up because there was no tuners in those days.
Right.
We were tuning up, and this guy in his old suit comes wandering. We thought he was just somebody off the street because he didn't recognize him. We didn't know. And we just kind of played over what he was trying to say. So he was furious, obviously, rightly so. And also, it was sponsored by Pepsi or Coke or something.
Right.
So we had never heard of such a thing. They started playing a Coke commercial. We went, you can't do that. That's the enemy. You know what I mean? The type. So we drowned them out. So the musicians union was mad at us, Trum was mad at us, the cops were mad at us, everybody was mad at us.
Trifecta.
Yes, and I think that may have affected our airplay in Canada. It's like, we're not letting these guys get any further. And yeah, unfortunate, but
It's too bad. It was such a great
innocent
band.
fun.
But you reinvent yourself again.
Yeah,
If Luke and the Apostles at Kensington Market is culture shock,
yeah. That was 1980.
the second Luke, to your solo album,
Yes.
second Luke of the Apostles to your solo album, Luke
Yeah.
Gibson in '71, is also culture shock. Now we got a singer-songwriter,
Yeah.
sort of not following, but
Yeah.
in the same vein as Bruce Coburn, Murray McLaughlin are also on True North.
Yeah.
That's a whole other Luke Gibson.
Yeah, because when the market broke up, and then the Apostles broke up, well, no, actually, when the market broke up, we didn't know what to do. Bernie Finkelstein and I knew some people up in the Madawaska Valley, so we went up there. We went and bought tents, and we went, okay, enough of hotels and airplanes and all this. We went up with tents and stayed with these people up in the hills for a while. So I had an acoustic guitar with me, so that kind of started that stuff rolling. And I wrote a few songs. I liked it, and I didn't have to deal with a band at that point. It was a nice change. I had been in three and a half bands by then. So acoustic, Bernie had just started True North Records.
Right,
with
year before,
Murray
yeah.
and Bruce, and Syrinx, I believe.
Yeah, so,
And so mine was TN4. It was the fourth album on True North.
so when you and Bernie were out in the wilds, is that when you wrote Virginia and
It was about that.
Windy Mountain?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was about that, yeah.
I didn't think I'd ever hear those songs live until today. That was,
Really, yeah. Well, I went on and played acoustic. I played that album. And through the 70s, I did a lot of acoustic stuff. I got into the folk festival circuit and coffee houses and stuff. So I did a lot of acoustic stuff.
Were you thinking of a second album for True North of the acoustic material?
I was, yeah. Why that didn't happen, I can't quite remember. I don't know what happened there. I probably started another band.
Well, you were playing on and off with Mike, certainly from the 80s
Well,
forward.
that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Like in then 1980. In 79, Murray McLaughlin had a killer backup band called the Silver Tractors.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah, Gene was in that band. A lot of great people. So Murray was on a hiatus, so I started playing with them and singing, and they were doing my songs. We did a couple of gigs. We did a show with Warren Zevon at Convocation Hall. We did a great gig at the Colonial Tavern, and then nothing happened with that band. And so what happened? Oh, yeah, so then I got into a band with Mike McKenna, with Sonny Bernardi from Crowbar, and
Right.
Dennis Pinhorn playing bass. That was 1981, so that lasted a year. We did Graffiti Eyes with that, so, and of course nothing happened with that. And I probably went back to a bit of acoustic, and then I had a couple of other bands with Margot Davidson from the Parachute Club. And I did a bunch of stuff on and off, but then I started working.
As in making a living.
Actually making a living, for a few years. I started, it just was enough, I had no money, and it had been enough banging my head against the wall. So I started, I got a job painting Ontario housing apartments for $65 a day for a while, and then kind of a buddy of mine was in IATSE doing film stuff, and I ended up permitting and working with those guys painting, and that ended up being a really good career. I was in it for 25 years.
I bet.
Yeah, so that saved me, honestly. Mind you, I did have a couple of bands during that time, but
Yeah, you never stopped playing as far as I know.
no, I didn't. It wasn't just like, oh, that's all over now. I had to write these down because I couldn't remember them all. Oh, I got that. Oh, yeah. 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 So then, what was it? The Apostles got together again, And this was, when was it? It was before SARS. It was, Peter opened
1999.
99, I think
Yeah,
it
I think
was.
so.
Yeah, he opened a club in Yorkville called Blues on Bel Air. And so we got together and did that. We also, I think it was the same year Nick Jennings' book came out.
Right.
We played at the book launch.
Sing at RPM or
It was at Hemingway's. I think,
Okay.
or someone there, yeah. So we played at Blues on Bel Air for a while.
and did a live album from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. We did, yeah. Yeah, and then what did we do? With Mike and the trio, we played Grossman's and this Isabella and Elm Combo and all that sort
Yeah, there was a lot of gigs.
stuff. Yeah, yeah, that was I think that was before I started working, but it was no money. You know, the best thing that happened during that run with that band was we were playing one night. And I looked down from the Macombo stage, and here's Tina Turner dancing right in front of us.
Oh my God.
I went, whoa, we can die now.
That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, dancing right in front of us with her two backup singers. We went, oh, no, okay, I guess we're doing something right here.
That's a vision.
Right? That was incredible. She loved the band. She offered Mike a job.
And he didn't take it.
And he didn't take it. No, I guess he just decided he'd rather make, $800 a week, maybe, in Toronto.
Right.
Playing scuzzy bars. Started playing with Tina. This was before she did What's Love Got to Do with It.
Right.
She was playing at the Royal York Hotel.
Right, in between Ike and Tina Turner when she exploded.
Yeah, that's right. She gave us tickets to the show. We went and saw her. And, boy, it was great. So, yeah.
Well, in recent years, there's, of course, semi-regular Luke and the Apostle gigs. I don't know if any of you were there, but the 60th anniversary show before Christmas at Hughes Room Live, I wasn't there in 64, but it felt like 64. But not a nostalgia gig, just a fucking, am I allowed to use that word, Malcolm? Just a fucking ferocious, intense R&B band playing this magical, magical stuff.
Oh, thank you.
It was so great. Every time I see the Apostles do a reunion, I feel like I've gone into a very special space.
That's really nice because, a lot of people do come up and they say, you just took me back. You're like a time machine, you guys. And it's the greatest satisfaction for us to do that. And we'll continue to do it,
I sure hope so.
Oh, yeah, we're doing it. We're playing the Black Swan May 31st from 4 to 7 on us. That's
Mark it on your calendars.
Yeah, because we had been doing a series of matinees there at the Swan, yeah. So that's the next one.
60 years into his career, hopefully another 20 or 30 to go.
Yeah.
And let's celebrate Luke Gibson.
Yes.